Kyle Shanahan, obviously, who suffered a severe concussion, had to get 40-plus stitches, broken nose, apparently almost lost an eye, according to Chris Sims of Pro Football Talk and NBC Sports. We'll get to that sound in a second. And we'll be joined by his co-host, Mike Florio, again, of Pro Football Talk, in about an hour from now to talk about it all. But I lied to the audience, Sammy. I said there was
How could you?
There was no injuries right now to be worried about, unless you're talking about one Christian Kirk, who left practice on Sunday and didn't practice yesterday with a calf strain. So, great.
Well, that's certainly not good.
Oh, awesome.
So that's how you know 49ers football is back.
Christian
Such
Kirk.
as it is.
Well, I'll say this. Was I counting on Christian Kirk to be one of my starting wide receivers week 1 against the Rams? I'm not so sure. I'm not. I thought him and Ricky Pearsall, you want to throw Demarcus Robinson in there as well. Jacob Cowing seems like a stretch, and we know how Kyle Shanahan feels about rookie receivers, Deshaun Stribling being the other guy. I don't know. There's a possibility, and Shasky was saying it before the show, and I'm in agreement with him. There's a possibility Christian Kirk could be a camp casualty.
Honestly, there's a part of me that thinks either Kirk or DeMarcus Robinson. I think it's going to be one of those two.
It's on a 2-year deal last year, DeMarcus Robinson. They liked him.
This is the second year of that 2-year deal. So Kirk's on a 1-year deal too, isn't he?
He had a great playoff game in Philadelphia.
Well,
he was
someone
a baller.
had to. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
that was his big game of the year. I'm curious how, because you missed the first 2 games to suspension last year, I believe, right? Or was it 4?
2, I believe.
Yeah, so I wonder if that kind of got him off to a bit of a slow start last year, but I don't know, maybe I'm crazy, but it seems like Robinson and Kirk seems a little redundant, especially with Pearsall and Stribling also on the roster. I'm not saying that it's guaranteed to happen. I feel like I would not be surprised if one of those two are not, or I would not be surprised if one of those two are camp casualties.
Speaking of John Lynch, this is some of the sound from him, the general manager for the San Francisco 49ers, obviously speaking about everything going on, and that's happened in regards to the Niners last couple months. Hell, he had to address the Aldon Smith passing, obviously Kyle Shanahan's car accident, what's going on with Brandon Aiyuk, our pets' heads are falling off, et cetera, et cetera. But this was John Lynch's opening statement on Kyle Shanahan's injury. It's a little long, but I think it's worth playing as we kind of dive more into this. And obviously the big storyline heading into training camp.
On to Kyle. So it was released today, via statement of what happened. And here's the great news. It looks like everyone's doing all right. The other driver seems to be doing all right. I don't want to speak to that because that's just secondhand knowledge. Kyle is doing good. He's got some bumps and bruises. He did suffer a concussion in the accident. Has some lingering effects from that concussion. And, we're kind of treating this. We don't have a protocol for staff members when it comes to concussions, but we do with players, and it's become very helpful. So Kyle basically is going to be like in the protocol, and Doc Nino and all the great doctors we have are giving him great care. And we're going to let the condition, the doctors dictate how he comes back, when he comes back. He's been in the building, so we've seen him. He's, it's kind of like we do with our players, a phased back approach. Number one for Kyle and the Shanahan family is getting him back right. He's a tremendous head coach, but this is bigger than that. This is about his well-being, and we're going to take the time necessary. And I think we're very equipped to do that. In his stead, Chris Furster is our assistant head coach. He will kind of assume those duties in conjunction, in concert with our staff. We're not going to blink. We feel like we're well equipped for something like this. We understand what a tremendous leader we have in Kyle. Like Chris Furster, been in the NFL for 34 seasons, 13 of those with Kyle. He knows Kyle inside and out, what Kyle wants, what Kyle needs. We've got guys like Clay Kubiak, Raheem Morris, obviously, who has head coach experience, Brad Boyer. The list goes on. And I think one of the great things Kyle does, aside from coaching his team, is leading this organization. And I think he's a tremendous developer of his staff. And so we're not going to miss a beat. We will keep you abreast of Kyle's progress as appropriate, as we deem appropriate. and you'll probably see Kyle out there on the field some when, kind of to what he can tolerate. But we're going to give the duties of actually running the team over to some other guys, and we have a really good plan, and excited for Kyle to get back, but only when he's ready.
So I was John Lynch a couple days ago addressing the media ahead of training camp, and obviously the big reveal of that car accident happened just the night before. And Chris Forster, not Forster, as we have all been saying for a while. He said Forster a couple times, assistant head coach and offensive line coach, obviously kind of, taking the reins here as Kyle Shanahan recovers from that concussion, the broken nose, et cetera, et cetera. But I just got to say this. As we've seen kind of leadership fail in the Bay Area in regards to some of the other teams, I'm looking at you, Buster Posey, and, the Pride Night fiasco and him addressing the media, or I guess not addressing the media and not wanting to talk about it. It is refreshing to hear John Lynch right now and him address, losing a player, losing someone that meant a lot for the 49ers once upon a time in Aldon Smith, and a passing, right? Talking about his head coach not being available and having a serious car accident, being asked about Brandon Aiyuk and that craziness for the millionth time, and addressing it and talking about it, or, not talking about it, but not being dismissive of it, I think is also a very important detail in all this, Sam, because what bothered me most, and I am doing a compare and contrast when it comes to some of the president of, baseball, basketball, football operations here, when we got Dunleavy, addressing the media and fans, getting pissed off about him and him not doing enough for them to appease the fan base. Buster Posey not passing the eye test when it comes to speaking to the media. And now we got John Lynch, doing that opening statement. It's just really refreshing to hear legitimate leadership at the top. And this is a guy that is so presidential and has been that way for so damn long. And again, is he perfect? No, none of these guys are. Do they pass every single test? No. Did I like, when he said once upon a time that they were flirting with maybe drafting Patrick Mahomes, and he said that to the media, and he's like, hey, Kyle, maybe we got to throw out our whole game plan and draft this guy. Did I love that if I was a fan? No, I did not. Has he made the greatest decisions, him and Kyle, in the draft? No, they have not. But would I rather have him over, 90, 95% of other GMs speaking to the media and speaking to the fan base? You're damn right I would. Now, is that the end all be all? No. But I do think that is part of, the test that you have to pass. And right now I see guys like Buster Posey failing that test. I think Mike Dunleavy overall does a pretty good job of it, although he got a little testy with the media after that trade deadline, right?
Unbelievable assumptions.
Yeah, the unbelievable assumptions that, Draymond Green was a part of trade conversations for guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo. I say all that to say, boy, are the 49ers blessed with unbelievable leadership.
Well, I think you've seen some of the more veteran players kind of talk about, I think Juszczyk, I think it might have been the one who said, like, hey, we got this, coach, we can take care of this. I mean, if you want to find a positive in the Niners having such a veteran, older team, it is the fact that, we look at the guys in this system, whether it's on offense, Brock, Christian, Juszczyk, Trent, on the defensive side of the ball, Bosa, Fred, even Dre Greenlaw coming back, Diamador Lenore. You got guys at every single position group who have been in Kyle Shanahan's system for the last 3-4 years. They're all very familiar with how things run right now. Look at our station right now. Our boss, Matt Nahigian, he's out of town right now this week.
Oh, is he? I didn't know this.
Exactly. I don't expect anything to miss a beat here. Not because of how, it's not that he does make an impact on a day-to-day basis. He does just because we have all been doing this here at the station for a long time. We know how to carry ourselves, our day-to-day activities during the week when our boss isn't here. That's the 49ers. They have that basically personal infrastructure in place with the players, but not just with the players, because Lynch, he brought this up in his opening statement that we just played.
Lynchy.
You have a lot of coaching experience on this team. He mentions Chris Forster, who's been doing this for 34 years. Raheem Morris has been around the block more than a few times. And I think one of the lines in there that I like that Lynch said is, Kyle has developed the staff. He really has. He's developed the staff to be able to carry about this team almost in his image, so to speak. And so that is, I think, a representation of not just Lynch's ability, John Lynch's ability to go out there and be a calming presence behind the podium, but it's the fact that when they're out on the field, the system's in place.
Right.
And we're seeing that happen. well, it's not to say they don't need Kyle Shanahan. They do.
Yeah.
But they have built a personnel infrastructure up on this team that is more than equipped to handle a short-term absence from Kyle Shanahan.